Do you recognize this? You start focusing more on chord tones in your solos and everything sounds more correct, so to speak. But at the same time, something else happens. It starts to sound a bit arpeggio-ish. A little too planned, a little too predictable, and you lose some of that flow. Now, there's nothing wrong with chord tones, they're very essential, but if you just play them straight up and down, things can get stiff, sort of like a military trumpet style. And this is where chromatic notes comes in. It adds color, it creates movement, it connects your phrases. And this is actually part of something I use in all my courses, which I call the color tone concept. And in this lesson, we're going to take a look at the very practical version of that. So we're moving chromatically from the root of the chord down to the flat seventh, and that is over a dominant chord in this case. So we're staying in our 12-bar blues in A, the A7, D7, and E7 chord, and here's how that works. Let's start with A7. So we have the root note up here, the note A, and we have the 7, the flat 7 down here, the G note, the note G. So then we will play either this fingering, like that, or we're going to grab this note over here, use this fingering. It all depends on what we're about to play after and before. So instead of this arpeggio, we now have with the other fingering. And if I use that in a solo, it sounds like this. We're still targeting chord tones, but we're adding a chromatic note on the way. And that one note is what breaks the arpeggio sound. That's what makes it feel like music instead of an exercise. So we use the same idea over all the three chords, and we apply exact same concept to each chord. Here's the D7. So we have the note D here, the root note. Then we have the C, the flat 7 down here. I'm gonna squeeze in this note here, color tone. So instead of this arpeggio, we now get this. So let's take a look at the E chord now. We have the note E here, and we have the note D, the flat 7th down here. I'm going to squeeze this note, squeeze that in. Like that. So instead of this arpeggio, we now have this arpeggio. So every time the chord changes, you've got the same movement available. And here's an example using this to the whole blues progression. This is a perfect example of the color tone concept, as I call it in my courses. You got a clear target tone, the flat 7th, and a color tone, and that color tone is what brings your phrases to life. It's not part of the scale in an obvious way, and that's exactly why it sounds good. Once you start thinking like this, the whole fretboard opens up actually. So how do you practice this? Well, we start simple. Play the root, the chromatic down to the flat 7. one chord at a time, slowly and controlled. Then change the rhythm, add notes before and after, and blend it into your normal phrasing. So don't think of this as a lick. This is a tool that you can use anytime. And the more you work with these color tones, the less your playing will sound stiff, and the more it will come alive. So try this in your next solo. Have fun with it, and until the next time, don't forget to keep those strings ringing now.